Irish Apocrypha. All the books are there, you know.
May I use the library?
Eh? What was that, my boy? The library. Ah, yes, the library's Apocrypha. All the books are there, you know. You can use it if it will help your inquiries. How go your inquiries? Have you heard from Reagan?
No. Not yet.
This room contains the von Uberwald's Libraris Apocrypha. So will, I trust, be careful not to damage any of the priceless tomes housed within.
I'll be careful.
One would be very upset if one was to return to find, sir, perhaps folding paper animals from a priceless folio edition of the Dictionary of Eye-Watering Words.
What are they?
They are books, sir.
I realize that. What are they about?
The Libraris Apocrypha is a collection of obscurities and rare volumes from across the continent. If knowledge were an animal, the Libraris would be a great dragon. Sir, by the same scale, would be a kebab on an ant's barbecue.
I'll be careful. The library was the von Uberwald's collection of obscurities. Perhaps I could turn it to my advantage. I grabbed a book from the shelves. Jane's All the World's Siege Weapons. Fascinating stuff, if I was planning to storm a castle and I had the defense budget of a small barony. The books were all neatly indexed by a vast series of cards in a wooden case. It looked like the von Uberwalds were using an ancient version of Huey's octal system of indexing. It was complicated, but I reckoned I could at least use it to find out what books they had on a particular subject, and then wander around until I saw a bookshelf with the right number on it. I found a copy of Orange Crates on the Nature of Plants. The book was a tediously detailed study of the plant kingdom, and one of the most boring things I've ever read. But I found the moss in there. Apparently it was a lycanthrope, a type of animate moss with crude locomotion, found only in the worst sewers in the most decrepit urban areas. Apparently the lycanthrope looked like harmless moss until something to eat walked by. Then they transformed into a deadly lichen and devoured their prey, at least as long as it was small enough. Otherwise, they just clung on for dear life. I checked through the library and found some ancient plans of the city of Ankh. There was an intricate sewer system beneath the city. It must be thousands of years old. It would be in quite a state if it was still around, and as far as I could tell, it would be under the waterline if there wasn't a drought on. Given the rains that we'd had recently, I could only find one section of sewer that might be above water. There was a shallow sewer recently, island bridge around the rimward side of the royal winter palace of the kings of Ankh, now the home of the patrician. I guess the designers weren't allowed to put sewers under the palace grounds, which might have been why the royal summer palace of the kings of Ankh was a long way from Ankh-Morpork. That and the stench of the river Ankh, anyway. A shallow sewer running from the brass bridge and then around the rimward edge of the patrician's palace. The ancient civic plans from the library led me straight to the sewer's entrance, not far from the Mortland Bridge. A relatively small tunnel was concealed beneath a pile of debris that must have accumulated over the centuries. It looked as if most of the tunnel was concealed actually still above the water line, or the sludge line, to be more honest about it. The passage had led me this far, and I couldn't wait to use it to get back out again. I wasn't even sure it really was water. The smell of the Ankh was unbearably strong in the sewer, and it was all I could do to remain conscious. All but one other scent was drowned out by the garish strength of the stench. The trail that I had seen in the cemetery seemed to continue down in the sewers, starting at one of the pipes and disappearing into the passageways. It was almost drowned out by the smell of the Ankh, though. The magenta scent permeated the niche, stronger even than the smell of the Ankh. There weren't many times in life you got to say that. There was all manner of debris piled up inside the niche. It looked like some kind of nest. Amongst the garbage was some kind of pendant. The metal of the pendant glinted amongst the debris. As I stood in the alcove examining the pendant, I felt as if I wasn't alone. It was the same presence I'd examining the pendant as hold. I could feel the cold touch of death upon me. It was a strangely light touch. Size obviously isn't important, I agree. You are Death, right? Rats have their own death? No offense, I mean, you're very, very intimidating. For a skeletal rat, at least. If you don't mind me asking, were you on the Milka before? I thought so. What were you doing on the Milka? Uh-huh. No, please, go on. Did you see anything? Well, I don't know, anything unusual. Anything else? And that's here. This is its lair. It can't be very big. That's not very comforting. But I guess that's not your job, but comfort, I mean. I wasn't suggesting you weren't good at your job. I've never looked at it that way before. I couldn't believe it. I was talking to a phantasmal rodent. I hoped he couldn't read my thoughts. He seems easily offended. So, what's it like being the death of rats? You don't get to talk much, do you? So what's your connection to the big guy? You're sort of like relatives, then. You probably get together for birthdays and hogwatch night. I'd like to see that. My usual, please.
Lewton. You're...
What? Is my tie not done up straight? Is there an unfortunate mark on my nose?
I heard you were dead.
Perhaps I am. Get me a stiff drink. How about a whiskey?
Don't you want something with it?
All right, put another whiskey in there.
Drinking like that'll kill you.
I'm dead already.
You didn't come back here to drink, did you?
I hear a prominent merchant has been killed. Heard anything about it?
All I heard was that someone in the Merchants Guild got killed. That's all I know.
Apparently one of the wizards up at Unseen University got themselves killed.
That's right. The reader of esoteric accounting or something.
Esoteric occultism, yeah. How did you know that?
I was speaking to Mrs. Foams earlier.
Mrs. Foams?
She's the head chambermaid up at the new hall.
One of the halls of residence?
Yeah, the big one that runs off from the huge library.
What did she have to say?
Just that this wizard had died in mysterious circumstances. Although she sounded like mysterious circumstances are pretty normal up there. It'd be a nice change if someone died in unmysterious circumstances for a change.
Can't be easy working at the university.
You couldn't pay me enough to make me work there.
Oh no? No amount of money would make you work there?
Well, obviously not a huge amount. For enough money, I'd do anything.
Anything?
Well, not involving fish, broccoli, or vinegar.
You wouldn't happen to have heard anything about the murder of one of the patrician's clerks, would you?
No one outside of the palace knows anything. Well, except the commander of the watch. I heard that the patrician has asked Commander Vimes to come and speak to him about it sometime soon.
Hadn't he already gone to see him?
Hey, what do I know? I'm just a bartender with big ears.
Perhaps he just wants an update on the case.
Whatever.
The garbage was giving off a distinctive green cloud, not dissimilar to the smell of the river Ankh. The empty barrels were surrounded by a cloying red mist, and it had the shrill pitch of red wine, if I wasn't mistaken. One of the empty barrels had a faint magenta trace to it. The scent